everyone. Welcome to Voice of the Non-Nation, episode 12. Good evening, John. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well.
Nice, nice. Sunday, June 18th here. Like I said, episode 12, and we are rolling right along. A couple of good topics to talk about today, John. I think we're going to go over Uni V4,
Yep.
a ZachXBT defamation lawsuit. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, defamation lawsuit.
Yeah. And then we had a really good article that was released today, and we're going to hit some high points on that article as well. Um, Toshi zooming out and talking about big picture and really, what all this means to the space. So excited to bring this show to the holders and to the audience. We've got some good stuff to talk about today. Why don't we jump right into Uniswap V4? So big release for Uniswap Labs last week.
Yep.
I've noticed
Well,
over the
sort
course
of
of
a
the week,
release.
sort of a release, yeah, intention or, telegraphing the intention for the release. I think, I don't know, code is not live yet. Code is live. I can't remember. They said
They
audit
have, yeah, they have.
some,
They have a public GitHub, and they are looking for contributions to it, but the code base is
right,
not frozen. Uh,
right.
and in
That's right.
fact,
It's not frozen. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
to
And
the best
so,
of my knowledge, it cannot be deployed right now.
gotcha.
uh, yeah, we'll
My
get to
take
that.
on this, I have seen the Uniswap team playing a lot of defense this week on
Yeah,
Twitter. A lot of
yeah.
defense, and kind of culminating with with kind of a statement, a non-TLDR, as Hayden put it on Twitter yesterday, kind of giving some thoughts on the scenario. I know that some people took issue with Uniswap kind of terming their license open source, things like that. And some people felt that Uniswap was trying to put themselves in the, you know, we're in the war for open source decentralization. It's like, well, no, you're not, because this is,
License.
this
Yeah.
is, yeah, exactly. And so, I saw a lot of defense being played this week, and specifically with like fundraising and how it all came to be, and it just seemed like a lot of defense being played. So, what have you read, and what's your take?
Yeah, so just to catch everyone up, Uniswap V4, the future version of the protocol got announced this past week. And from the announcement, it's Uniswap V3. It's sort of a minor upgrade to the current version of Uniswap, as opposed to basically a radical redesign that they did from V2 to V3. This is more a small, single generation leap, like iPhone,
Yep.
what, 4 to 4S instead of the 3 to the 4 or something like that. It's
Right.
it's, it's a
Right.
minor iteration. And what they're introducing is a couple of things. There's a lot of different small gas optimizations going on. They're moving from individual pools. Every pool is its own contract to one contract for every pool, sort of a croc swap style. And
Hmm.
then they also have these things called hooks, which are basically places within a swap where additional arbitrary code could go ahead and be executed.
Yeah. Yep.
So those are the main features. And I've seen a lot of this, that, the other thing pushback throughout the week, as you were talking about. And my big takeaway from it all is they're making things very complex
Right.
for what to me seems like not great reasons. So I
Right.
appreciate development on the AMM side. It's all good. Get those ideas out there. Let's debate them. But a lot of what they've done here is they've done like very intense gas optimizations. Like they are digging as deep as they can to optimize things to the point where I think these hook contracts need to be contracts, so they need to be created. But then the first like 8 digits of the contract determine where it hooks into the swap. So they're
Hmm.
putting information in the contract address
Hmm.
that determines how this is going to function as a gas saving measure. And to me, this just feels like it's a very needlessly complex sort of thing where you're getting gas savings by, overlapping information, a contract address with additional information where, it's embedded in the contract address, but to the point where you have to use create to, and as you're deploying
Yeah,
these contracts, you have to do it in a way where you get a predictable, at least some digits predictable for your contract address, which adds a lot of complexity to things. It makes it
right.
less easy to deploy. And they've
Yeah,
done a lot of other things where it feels like they are trying to rush to as low a as low of gas consumption as you possibly can on a swap. They're
right,
aggressively going after that to the point where the protocols become a lot more complex in a lot of ways, and not House of Cards style where it's all complex and it'll come tumbling down. I think they've done a lot of research to build it up this way, but
right.
it's not as easily understandable or as easily integrated as previous versions of the protocol. We're moving to
Hmm.
complexity for the sake of gas savings, and
Yeah,
in my opinion, that might be fine for mainnet. That might be where you have to go. In a future, according to uh, Vitalik's article, where he said everyone's going to move to L2s because L1's just going to
right,
be super expensive. It
right.
feels like Uniswap's setting up to be like the only DEX that can survive on L1 in that future, where they're the only one used because gas is at such a premium that you need to be the most efficient to do any sort of swaps on L1.
So, couple of
That might
thoughts.
be
Yeah,
fine.
that's
That might be fine.
yeah,
But L2s are
right,
so cheap that this gas optimization doesn't matter. In my
right. Yeah,
opinion, it doesn't
right,
really matter on the L2s.
right.
You're going to
Yeah,
pay, 6 cents, 12 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents for a swap. People are going to just be fine with that. Trying to shave,
right.
10% gas optimization there for complexity is going to just, I don't like it. I,
Yeah,
I don't think
that.
that's where
Yeah,
we move.
I have a couple. Let me jump in here with a couple of
Yeah,
thoughts.
yeah.
Like
I've
number
talked for a
one,
while. Yeah.
no, you're good. Number one, yeah, I mean, and a lot of it is like, it just like, it doesn't make sense to me. Number one, we're moving to an L2 world, right? Like,
Yep.
why do, these swaps have to be on mainnet, right? Why do they require the security of mainnet? That doesn't make sense to me. Number two, I don't doubt that, during the, some of the really, really high gas condition periods over the last 12 to 18 months, Uniswap, as a protocol and, as a fee structure, things like that has probably, that has probably impacted them because less people are swapping. There's less activity through the protocol, things like that because of high gas conditions, right? So I get it. Like, the focus is towards gas optimizations, things like that. But and one could say like, okay, well, they're envisioning they're building towards the future, but is this a knee jerk reaction based on some of the high gas conditions that we've seen over the last 6, 12, 18 months, and really, you know, as opposed to where we see, the future going with, with swaps and things like this, right?
Yeah.
Is this a bit of maybe a strategic blunder on Uniswap Labs' on part, and going so much into these gas optimizations and adding so much complexity. And by the way, being able to execute arbitrary code at different points of the swap, that doesn't sound dangerous at all. Like, I
Oh
don't
no,
see
not
any
at all.
potential for I mean, you can pick up my sarcasm there, but I think that this you're absolutely right. I think you nailed this. Adds a lot of complexity.
It adds a lot of complexity, and ultimately, here I'll go ahead and share. They published their white paper on on GitHub here, and so anyone can go through, read the white paper. It's all of like 3 pages, and most of a
Yep.
page here is a diagram.
Yep.
So it's absolutely worth reading. Go check it out. They talk about how the hooks are, where they can be in a swap, the fact that they're going to support native ETH, which I think is a boon. I think that's
Yeah.
great.
I agree.
Um,
I
but
like
yeah, and they
that.
talk about some other things like their singleton, so one contract for everything, and then also a thing called flash accounting, which to me is the thing that holds a lot of this together, because
Hmm.
each pool with a different hook is going to be a different pool. And if you have, lots of pools with lots of different hooks, you're trying different things, different protocols are building on it, you'd get fractured liquidity. And the way they're combating this is this flash accounting. So it's going to go ahead and look through a bunch of different pools with maybe different hook contracts, but sort of a single liquidity base still. Rather than
Right.
fractured liquidity, it's just fractured pools. And they rely on flash accounting, which is the last thing that we didn't talk about too much yet. And this is why the protocol can't actually be deployed right now. Is flash accounting uses something in proposed EIP 1153, which is transient storage opcodes, which are basically ways to do calculations that never get written to the chain. They're sort of like intermediary steps. So
Hmm.
you start with a swap and you have an end with like update token balances. And you can do a lot of math in between there where
In
pools
between.
virtually have different balances. And you go through and you map it out. But then all those excess calculations get flushed away at the end and never written to the chain. You just have your start and your end.
So we're doing off-chain calculations.
It's
So
off
so
chain.
we're
It's off chain calculations, but it all works. It still works. You're not relying
right.
on other security. It's just that the validators have computation that they might not necessarily get paid for. And this is one of the things that people have brought up is these
Hmm.
transient storage opcodes can require validators to do a lot of complex math that in the end they don't get paid for because there's no gas involved to do it. It makes things cheaper
Right.
for users who are executing the swaps, but as validators, you may have a large computational overhead with these transient storage opcodes that you otherwise, would get compensated for. That if they had to be written in and weren't these, flushed at the
Right.
end uh, updates, you'd get paid in gas for them. So you'd get paid for the computational time. Here, you don't. So that's another thing that's
That's
rubbing
interesting.
the wrong way.
Right. Where do they expect? Hmm. Is that going to impact security?
There's chances. I've seen a little bit of stuff that this could be used as an attack vector, where you
Mhm.
basically bundle cheap transactions that have a lot of expensive computational intermediary parts, but that
Right.
result in a pretty low gas transaction ultimately. And if you get enough of those and you have to you start building up the amount of computation and you maliciously do it so that there's a lot of computation for the gas cost, you may start pushing out valid transactions because the validators can't process
Right.
everything and build the blocks in time. So
And they're probably
there's
not willing to.
right.
I'm
So there's a
interesting.
little bit of
So,
security in there. I
it,
know there was a
right.
large push to get this included in the last fork of ETH with Shanghai with the unstaking. Didn't happen there. They were more worried about unstaking getting in. But I think this is soft slated for the next hard fork. I think.
Whose push was it to get this in there?
I think it's in no small part Uniswap.
Hmm.
It seems like they really want this. They're relying on it for their model, and they're going to be
For their business model.
yeah. And for Uniswap V4 to work and
Hmm.
to actually be more gas efficient, you need these transient stored opcodes. I think if you don't have them, this whole model sort of gets thrown out the window where you have one pool fractured over a bunch of liquidity with these hooks. It sort of starts to fall apart if you can't get these cheap updates uh, to happen.
Okay. So riddle me this. Let's step back 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And if you were to take, kind of a taste test from the community of, oh man, Uniswap V4 could be dropping soon. What do people really want to see with Uni V4? Does this in any way resemble what you thought or what people thought that we might be getting with Uni V4? Like, did they miss the mark here, or are they trying to create product fit where maybe product fit doesn't exist, and this isn't exactly what people were hoping for?
I think
I know
native ETH,
Uniswap V3 wasn't a huge hit either.
it wasn't it,
Very
and
incremental,
even now, where a lot of transactions happen, they happen over on Uniswap
right?
V2.
Which is what we have uses the basis for the bazaar.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
the idea of, LP tokens as opposed to LP NFTs uh
right?
make a lot of sense and let you do a lot of things. And yeah.
Yep.
I mean, if it was me, I think native ETH would have been something where it's like, all right, I'm glad they included it. That's sort of an obvious shoe in. You should have done that.
Right.
Hooks, I think, are in general a good idea. Uh it lets you it basically turns Uniswap from being the a protocol on itself to being a liquidity layer. Everyone goes on Uniswap and you just build on Uniswap's liquidity. You don't worry about attracting liquidity yourself. You just build hooks. I think that's great.
Right.
And I think if they had stopped there, people could have been pretty happy. You have new Uniswap
Right.
V4 pools that are their own contracts that have these hooks enabled. That'd be really cool.
Right.
Instead, we get this
Yep.
this whole model, which again, it feels like if you're targeting to be the last dex on Ethereum on mainnet, where in a future where swaps and everything are very, very expensive, this would be the way to do it. You say, okay, occasionally swaps will have to happen on mainnet. You have to make it super, super cheap to do it, and there has to be large volumes. This is the way to do it. But that's not the future we're in yet, and they're
Yep.
multi-chain. Uniswap's deployed on
Right.
they're on BNB, they're on Optimism, they're on Arbitrum, they're on Mainnet. They're
Right.
all over the place. They have so many deployments.
Yep.
This
Yep.
doesn't make sense for basically any L2. Yeah, it's cool. Maybe your transaction costs 4 cents instead of 6, but no one's gonna care.
Right. Right.
They want
Okay.
other
So,
features on
yeah.
L2. They want to be able to do stuff. And again, hooks, think those are great, and we'll have to see how it plays out. But
Right. But they're very much guessing at the direction where this is all going to go and putting a lot of eggs in a basket that has no guarantee that it's going to play out. So
yeah, and
a move towards
Mhm.
complexity, and let's compare and contrast that with the bazaar, which is just beautiful in its simplicity. By the way, right? I mean the way the bazaar is designed is so simplistic, right?
Yeah,
With the pools and the way that liquidity is locked and things like this. Um, I think that's refreshing. Coming from our team and being a quote unquote Uniswap competitor, which is what the Grand Bazaar is, right? Maybe
yeah.
that people haven't fully grasped that yet, but I see a beauty in that simplicity, and I think that that's an area for disruption, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and all throughout this, there's the only mention they really have of like true on-chain orders are, well, you can build it into a hook, and we kind of have some proof of concepts of that happening
Right.
eventually, but it's not automatic. It's not built in. The bazaar is going to have
Right.
built-in orders that are real, true, zero slippage orders,
Yep.
different from what Uniswap's promising here. So
Completely on chain.
they're not
Yep.
going to have they're not going to have those. There's theoretically you can do some sort of farming with this model, but there's not a farming contract here. You can't. They have one function. I'll scroll to it here. They have a donate function,
Yeah. I saw that.
which it's sort of like farming for a particular block, a particular transaction. You can choose to give the LPs in range an extra bonus,
Yep.
but that doesn't block anything for future rewards. Part of the joy of the great thing about the bazaar is it's going to capture volume today to benefit
Yep.
LPs a month from now,
Yep.
a while out.
Yep.
You're
Right.
trying to incentivize continued liquidity. This is incentivizing, if anything, flash liquidity. We've discussed it a little bit before, at least you and I have, where liquidity in is flashed in for a particular block, a particular transaction, where they get a bunch of the fees from it, and are fine,
Yep.
taking on the IL there. This doesn't incentivize. It doesn't sound like there's any way here to incentivize liquidity, a month down the line, even a day down the line, a block down the line, with
Right.
this Uniswap model. So it's fundamentally different. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Bazaar stacks up against this. They're different,
Yeah.
visions of the future, and
Right.
both can be right. But
Yep.
we'll have to see. I think we bring
It,
some really novel things
Uni's
in
great
there
for
that
big
are good.
caps, for
Yeah,
large major caps, but we're taking a different route, and Bazaar is going to be phenomenal for micro caps, and things like that. And we see a large market fit for that, so that's going to be pretty great. Is Uniswap, are they banking too hard here? Are they taking a risk on, thinking, hey, we're Uniswap and the market is going to go wherever we go because we're Uniswap, right? Um, I see, a chance for, and of course, people will just continue to use V2, if they want, but in B3, of course. But I see an opportunity to for some disruption here and to give the market what it's really looking for. It just doesn't. It seems to me that all the defense that has been being played by Uniswap Labs. I mean, man, it was even like going back to the origins of building the protocol and the
yeah,
grant, and being criticized for taking funding, and Hayden made a comment of like, I guess I could have just been one of those founders who didn't take funding and just had to move to some you know you know non jurisdictional country, and then maybe this protocol slowly dies into irrelevance. And it just seemed really defensive in tone. So, and I've been seeing that kind of stuff all week. So
yeah,
it's kind of interesting.
yeah. We'll have to see, because again, this is not something that can be deployed right now. It has to
Right.
wait at least for the hard fork of
Right.
Ethereum before anything happens. So
When is
things
that
can
scheduled?
change.
December, or is it
I don't
August?
know. I don't know if it has a hard date yet. They'll have to go
Okay.
through testnet deployments, make sure things are
Right.
stable there. So
Right.
I don't think there's a set date. There might be a tentative date. It might be December. But yeah, we're
Hmm.
looking months out here, at best. So
Yep.
it's interesting to see where their version, of what the space is going to look like, and we have our own with the Bazaar. And if you're curious, check out our videos on the Bazaar. Uh,
Yep.
New deck solution built on, a simple Uni V2 style model, with full
Yep.
on chain orders,
Yep.
giving you every LP as a farmer. Those are our versions of the future, and they seem to differ from Uniswap. So
Yep.
let's go.
NONnation, a bona fide Uniswap competitor, right? They
Oh,
have their
absolutely.
vision for the future, and we have our vision for the future. Um, yeah, we won't even get into market cap size. I think it's just crazy though that it's gonna be really exciting. So, okay, that's great. I think we had a pretty good discussion, and I expect the discussion to continue. It seemed
Oh
like
yeah.
maybe Hayden was kind of trying to close the doors a little bit, and with his post last night. And to the community's credit, there was an outpouring of support, and of course, it is always easy to throw stones, right, at those who are building, and for people on the sidelines and things like that. And of course, that's kind of native to crypto Twitter in general. But there was a good outpouring of support for Uniswap, and some of the Ethereum emojis and things like that. So
Hmm.
that was nice, to see, and nice for Hayden. And there are a competitor, and they have kind of paved the path, for Dexes and with their success, and we look to take that to the next step. So that's gonna be exciting.
Oh yeah, they're the OG. It all started with
Yep.
them. You have to respect
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Uh, but you also, you can't just launch something and that's the perfect model the first time. You can
Right.
iterate on it. They're doing it. They're on V4. You know,
Yep.
we're changing up. We're trying our own model
Absolutely.
of our version and our vision. So
Yep.
we'll see. Lot of
Absolutely.
people are trying to build AMMs and try to figure this out and figure out what the right model is. And we're on to something. But let's keep iterating. Let's keep building.
Yep. Exactly. Cheers to the builders and cheers to the race. We're excited to be jumping in here. So awesome. All right, let's jump into Zach XBT and so I don't have all the details on this. I'm excited to get the download from you. You're always very well versed in what's going on, and I appreciate that coming to these conversations. The only thing that I did see that I really like to see, because I know that I personally, and I don't know, I'm not endorsing all of Zach XPT's work or his methods, but I have enjoyed a lot of his content over the years, and how he holds people to account, especially in this space, which is,
Hmm.
needs a lot of holding to account. And I saw an outpouring of support, kind of like what we saw with, like, Hodlnaut and, a couple of years back, when he was being sued by, Craig Wright, and this ridiculous nonsense, things like that. So I take it he's being sued for defamation and for libel.
Yes, he's being sued for defamation. Let me go ahead and pull that up. So yeah, Zach XBT. For those of you who don't know, he is an anonymous on-chain sleuth
Yep.
who is looking to basically hold this space to account. Here's his Twitter profile. If you're not following him, follow him.
Yep.
Great stuff there. But he basically tries to hold people's feet to the fire when they're being scammers. Uh,
Yep.
which is something we'll touch on a little bit more in the article that was
Yep.
published today, and is our next topic. But he's trying to say, hey, there are bad actors right now in the space. Let me show you who they are so that they
Right.
can't take your money too.
What he's trying to say is the space isn't using factory contracts yet, so there's still bad actors, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
But here
Yet,
was his tweet. So
yet.
not using them yet. Hopefully soon. Hope soon. But yeah,
Yep.
so he was sued by it's by Machi Big Brother.
Okay. Yep.
Uh, someone who's been in the space since, I was reading a little bit before, 2017, 2018 launched. I think it was Cream Finance. That's one people may
Mhm.
have heard of, who've been around for a little while. Mithril was another one, but he launched those, and they're basically all sort of pump and dump, try to fundraise a lot, and make off with money. And it sounds like Zach published an article in June 2022 writing about all these escapades and basically accusing him of running off with 22,000 ETH, 2,200 ETH,
Wow.
something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, 22,000 ETH. There it is. Um, yeah,
That
and
is sickening.
is now being sued for defamation, and he as part of this was doxxed. He has blacked it out where you can go find the actual legal brief and see it, but he'll stay doxxed for me. Uh, he'll stay anonymous for me. But yeah, they found him and was able. They went ahead and served him with a defamation lawsuit. And from my initial readings of it, it's a bunch of BS and is more akin to a slap suit
Right.
than a real lawsuit. So he talks a little bit about it, and just says, this Big Brother guy is much richer than he is by like
Yep.
order a few orders of magnitude or so.
Yep.
To the
Yep.
point where he's trying to use the money to shut Zach up, and you know, I suppose he wants to keep grifting. I'm not entirely sure.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Don't let them scare you, Zach. Keep holding these scammers to account, these grifters to account.
yeah, he so
And
Zach
yeah.
2 days ago now, I guess a little bit more than 2 days ago, made a donation wallet and said, "Hey, I'm going to need funds for a legal defense. It's going to be expensive. If you can, kick me something, go for it. It's going to go all towards legal defense."
Yep.
And from what I checked recently, it's over 1.1, closing in on 1.2 million dollars donated so
Good.
far. He
Good.
hit that mark.
Bravo. Bravo.
Uh, CZ came on and is contributing 50K
Yep.
for this. So people are throwing their support behind him here, and
Bravo. He's provided a lot
he
of
should.
value to the space, you know.
Yeah.
He you know, whether you like his methods, whether you know, approve of every single one of his threads or investigations or not, I mean, he's, he's saved a lot of people a lot of
Hmm.
money by, you know, exposing things that needed to be exposed. So I love to see the space rallying behind him and you know, providing funds for him to defend himself. I think that's
Yeah.
great.
And I mean, he's been there when exploits are happening, trying to help people out, trying to, figure out what's going on and get it fixed. And he's a big asset to the space and hasn't, really asked for anything in the past.
Yep.
And we can't have the space become, hey, the rich people can go ahead and slap lawsuits on everyone who's calling them scammers, even if they are,
Right.
just to shut
Right.
them up. It's a
Yep.
horrible precedent to have set, and I don't think it's going to stick here. But
Yep.
it's going to go to court. There's going to be a legal battle here, and that's going to involve
Yep.
expenses. And so
So so yeah. Yep. And I think this is a great time to kind of segue into uh, this great article that we released today that Toshi wrote.
there
Right.
there
I mean,
is one
there's
thing I
only
want to
so
cover on
many.
this. There's one thing I still want to
Yeah.
cover on this that wasn't in Zach's.
Oh, sorry. Go
So
ahead.
yeah, and part of the reason I wanted to bring this up in the first place, I'll stop the share here, is after this donation address got listed, an anonymous wallet went ahead and created the Zach token. Okay,
Oh,
and the Zach token,
I
the
did hear
Zach
about
token
that.
has a sale tax. We've talked a lot about that in recent days with the how the new non's going to function with the sales tax. This is
Yep.
a token that has a sale tax. I think it's set to 2% right now, and
Yeah.
the proceeds in ETH are going to this legal defense wallet. So this is
Good.
a use case where we have a genuine use case outside of
Yeah.
the
Right.
just absolute meme degeneracy things, where a
Yeah.
sales tax here is used as a positive generative value for the space by being able to go ahead and get fund a legal defense and let people do their thing with meme tokens. So
That's fantastic. Programmable money being
yeah,
used, you know, in a way that has a use case. That's
yeah.
fantastic. I love to see it.
And
What is it at? Is the token doing well? And is
I don't
the
I'm
no, who knows?
I'm
I
not
seems
participating.
like one of the what seems like one of those things that would be popular. You know.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that is the power. And when these token factories come online, this sort of thing can be done. So if a
yep.
community needs arises where, hey, we need a token to go ahead and do this, we need one with sales tax to support a legal defense, we need it to
Yep.
for donations for disaster relief, whatever it happens to be, you can whip up a token in the factory here and get donations or sales tax or rebate, however you
Yep.
want to do it. You can try to fund some sort of good with a token using some of these mechanisms. So there is a
That's
need
awesome.
for this in the space. There's a use case for it, and it's being showed right now, in action over the past couple of days. So I think it's important to point that out when the
Yeah.
factories come online, and that if if it comes from the factory, it'll be secure. It'll be a
Yep.
great thing where, hey, we need this token, somebody go whip it up in this factory. It comes out of the factory, you can see it came from the factory. Trust that
Yep.
it's safe, trust that it's not a rug pull, because I'm sure there's been other Zach tokens that are actually
Right.
honeypots,
Right.
but you
Right.
can see it come from there. And be secured in how that's going to be. So there's a use
Yep.
case here, and
Yep.
we're going to bring a product to that market fit.
Yeah, absolutely. And as much as I love ZachXBT and I love the work that he does, and I love to see the community rally around him, this is not scalable, right? There's only one ZachXBT. Even if we had 10 ZachXBTs, it wouldn't be enough to
Yeah.
flush, and to bring to light all of the things that go on in this space, right? And so, this is really where the NONnation, design paradigm comes in, right? We are fixing the system from the ground up, right? We are making with the token factory approach, right, and the factory contract approach, we are making it so that you cannot rug, right? So that
Mhm.
people can have confidence in that what they are investing in and what they are buying is not going to be able to be rugged, right? And so
Yep.
while I love to see all of this go on in the community rally and things like this, um, the system needs fixed. The NONnation is coming to fix the system, right? And it's as simple
Yep.
as that. It's going to be revolutionary.
Oh yeah, and for everyone, if you haven't checked out the new article here, I'll pop it up. When you get a chance, go through and read it. But it talks
Yep,
about how we started with Bitcoin, everything's built on that, but it's sort of hasn't updated to the times to where we're at now, a Wild West sort of place. And
yep,
following that analogy, we got the sheriff, Zach, coming out
yep.
and talking to the ruffians, trying to call
Trying to
them out,
keep order, right?
trying to bring law
Right,
to the West. And
right.
it's an interesting game. It's fun, it's fun to watch. But
It's
the Wild West
whack-a-mole.
isn't
Whack-a-mole,
where
right?
that's not where
Yeah,
the society gets built up. That's not where you have your cities pop up and your empires pop
right,
up. You need something different to build it. Uh, and right
right.
now we're very much in the Wild West portion where things are
Yeah,
crazy. We have heroes, we have villains, we have confrontations between them. Things
yep,
are a little bit gray everywhere. And what the non-nation's really trying to do is say, okay, this has been sort of a stepping stone, but we need something new. We need
right.
a new version of this space. We need something that is actually decentralized here. Start with a very
Yep,
strong foundation, and we can build something really great there, but we have to be comfortable leaving this Wild West, this bandits hiding behind masks here.
right, right.
We gotta be okay leaving some of that behind.
Yep, yep, absolutely. Um, yeah, so I mean, this is a great article that Toshi wrote and that we released today, and talking about the non-nation, um, really giving the backdrop of what the space was created to be, things like this, and kind of the backdrop and the history of it, and where the revolution is going to take place. And NONnation is the revolution, and I think it just lays it out in simple and beautiful terms of how this is and why this is so revolutionary. And by the way, a lot of this language and things like this, hopefully this will migrate to the marketing materials and the website and things like this, because this is exactly when we talk about the non-nation, this is exactly how it needs to be described. It's nothing less than a revolution for the space, right? So it's a great
Oh,
article. I,
absolutely.
I really love the piece.
Yeah, it's the non-nation represents a different way of doing things because yeah, the place that we're at right now isn't conducive to real building in the space. It is very much pop up something here, try to strike gold, try to strike it rich, and get out. Uh,
Yep,
you know, and Ponzi's
exactly.
they've ruled for a while here. We have to be comfortable moving past that, starting with a
Right.
strong foundation where decentralization, you know, real, protocol control is turned over to a decentralized source in a way that makes sense but
Yep.
it helps protect founders, helps protect the thing that gets built. Sort of like we've talked about Uniswap. Uniswap V2 is trustless. It's built there and it's immutable and it's going to exist forever.
Right.
That's some of the stuff that we need to see. But we also want to be able to have, some amount of governance in it where
Right.
you can actually say, oh, we want to morph, a little bit. We want to be able to change the tokenomics and the economy a little bit as we go along, as things
Right.
change. You want it to be a little bit adaptable, but you don't
Right.
want it to be at risk. And that's where NONnation's trying to step in and say, hey, we have the tools where you can manage the economy on
Yep.
chain through
Yep.
through these votes, through these sub DAOs.
Yep.
And that's a really, really powerful concept because it lets you have, protocols that can evolve with time with while still, keeping their core immutable in a way that is decentralized, protects the protocol, protects developers for the protocol. And that's the system. That is the system we want to have out there in the future. That is what this article is trying to lay out and say, we have this different way of doing things from, ICOs where you can, lock liquidity in to the Bazaar to other things. And that's what we're trying to promote here. And the article dives into a little bit with, here's the financial, how we've evolved and why we need to move past it. Here's the legal reasons of where it is and why we need to move past where the space is. How the
Right.
tech has evolved and where the tech is going to evolve. It's really a great article. And then it talks about how we're approaching it, how we're
Right.
looking to change the industry ultimately.
Yeah. And this is, this standardized framework that we have been talking about, since Bilderberg, and this attempt to kind of reshape the entire industry, right? It's something that, when people learn about it, they can easily understand. They can understand the power of, the factory concept and the cloning and things like this. Can you hear me okay, by the way? I got okay, cool. I got kicked out there for a minute. So but I really like the way that the framework was talked about, in the article, and especially Toshi calling out teams, for this kind of like decentralization theater. I'm not sure the actual term that he used, but teams, and projects that make the claim of decentralization, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
not actually anywhere close to decentralization. I'll have to scroll up and you know and find the term that he used, but I liked it a lot. So, um, oh man, yeah. There's just so many different things that's hit on and touched on in this article, and so many problems that we're going to fix in the space. The NONnation, the platform is truly going to be a revolution. So it's going to be exciting to watch. Here we go. Decentralization catfishing, right?
Decentralization
It's like
catfishing. You're coining
100%
that
just
term.
accurate, term, right? Just,
Oh yeah.
because I mean that 100%. I mean, decentralization is this buzzword in the space, and teams and projects know exactly what they're doing when they throw it out there and say,
Yep.
"Hey, we're decentralized," right? And the reality of that is, much, couldn't be further from the truth. So,
Yep. Yeah, we've seen that, with Arbitrum and their first proposal where they're like, we're decentralized, but we made the decision ahead of time to do this thing. Oops.
right, right.
And we've talked about it, the decentralization theater, but I think decentralization catfishing is the best way I've ever seen it put.
I agree. I have to agree. Bravo on that one, Toshi. So this is a fantastic article. I think this is what, the third or fourth article in a row now in the series, but I feel like this one really just ties, I mean, so many aspects of the ecosystem and the framework together and what the non-nation represents moving forward. So, I certainly hope that, people grasp um, how big the scope of non-nation really is and everything that it's going to change. Right? I mean, it's a game changer.
Yeah, this is a great article that really gives this is why we're here. This is the big change that we're trying to do.
Right.
This is what we want to condense down, even a little bit tighter than the article in the future, and say, hey, this is
Mm,
our reason in a sentence, in a paragraph,
exactly.
for
Exactly.
being in this space. This is our goal right here.
Yep.
This article lays it out. So,
This is our positioning statement. The why. This is
yep,
why
sure,
we're here. Yep.
sure.
Yep.
This explains the why, and we got to take a moment. We got to appreciate the art on this thing. Do we see this?
Yeah, that was. I believe that was David's. That's pretty awesome.
This
That's pretty
is
awesome.
this is a masterpiece, and I'm gonna have to go mint the article after this just
Yeah,
to have this
I
art.
agree. I could not agree more.
If nothing else,
And
the article.
man, look at the chaos of the pre non-nation times, right? Everybody just
Got
come
people
on
getting
over
held
to
up. We got
civilization.
ships. I
We
mean,
have laws, we
just
have rules, everything is structured, right? Just
yeah.
make your way on
This
over.
is,
I can't wait for the platform release.
and we got the what is it over here? This is giving me 2001 Space Odyssey vibes over here with the monolith.
Oh, totally. I see. Yeah, absolutely.
This is
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. This is a good one for sure. So, yeah, you can see the little, the Bazaar guy there. He's ready to trade, man.
Oh yeah.
I love it. That's great. Um, awesome. So everybody, go ahead and check that out. And as JPN mentioned, make sure you mint off there and get the collectible there. I think that's pretty cool. So
Yep. You mint
I
on Optimism. It's super cheap now
oh,
that
it's
Bedrock's out there. So,
super affordable, super affordable in the pennies, right?
oh yeah,
Yeah,
I think I've done swaps of like 6 cents to do a swap, 10 cents to do a swap. It's just it's wonderful now. Before it was
yeah,
like a quarter, 15 cents. Now it's better now. I
yeah.
think I remember looking at Dune. I think it was a 53% drop in average fees across
Nice,
the board for Optimism
nice.
users post
That
Bedrock. So just
that's fantastic.
beautiful, beautiful.
Yep, that's great. All right. Well, that's great. So I believe, are about 45 minutes in. And somebody actually had asked a good question, I believe, in the Discord. Maybe it was in the Telegram about Bazaar on L2 and Optimism and Velodrome and things
Mm,
like that. And maybe that'll be a question that comes up in the AMAs this week. And just to remind everybody, tomorrow we have the non-viral AMA. That's Tuesdays at 4 p.m. UTC, and then we have the team event on Wednesdays, and then we have the team AMA on Thursdays. So lots of content coming at you, and as we move forward, we anticipate rolling out, the written content and the shorts and things like that. All of that will be gearing up very soon in anticipation of the non-nation platform release. So
yep.
excited to share more with you as we move forward. Any closing thoughts, JPN?
Closing thoughts. Gas is cheap on mainnet
Yes,
again.
yeah. Should we
Looking
take a
over.
look at ultrasound money
Yeah, let's go over to ultrasound. Yeah,
let's
we'll
do
do
it.
our ultrasound money minute here at the end.
14 Guai. 14 Guai is where gas is at right now.
13. I see 13. That
You seen
is.
13? Ooh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so and even then, okay, so even all throughout today, uh we're just about break even on ETH on the this is the 7-day time frame. I guess
yep.
on the daily it'll be we're a bit
Probably be good.
inflationary,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
so on the daily we're inflationary by 0.1% per year, but again, if we look at what this would be on, proof of work, you're looking
Yeah.
at 12,000 ETH
Right.
getting
Right.
minted and distributed
Right.
versus 300
Yeah.
net
Quite.
change.
Quite.
Uh,
Yeah. Quite.
and with Bitcoin, Bitcoin over the same time, again, far more inflationary than ETH is right now. So just
Yeah.
keep an eye on
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
This is gonna hit someday,
Yeah.
and we're gonna start to see the effects of just how flat this chart is. If not deflationary, at least not inflationary or barely inflationary compared to what it would be and what it is on Bitcoin right now. So keep an eye
Mhm.
out.
Yep. Yep. And where are we at on price wise? Let's see.
1726.
1726. Holding up.
We we had dipped down to the 1650s earlier in the week, and then we got a pump. We got a pump off of the
We got a pump on the
BlackRock. They're
on the Fed
filing
rate
an
pause, right?
ETF.
Oh, the
Fed
BlackRock.
rate pause. Fed rate pause, I think, was actually bearish. That's part of
Hmm,
why we nuked.
interesting. I thought okay. I was watching the ticker, but I was watching, TradFi
It was
coverage of it, and
TradFi. Yeah, I think stocks pumped on it, but crypto was sort of neutral, if not down a little bit overall. It was a little bearish.
a lot of people are saying, and a lot of people have maintained for a while now. There's a new bull market in stocks, and
Mhm.
crypto and TradFi are so correlated now that people are saying that crypto is going to catch up with stocks soon. That it doesn't maintain right that wide disparity for long, so that we may be headed north. So we'll see.
All right, bring it.
Yeah. Yep, I know, right? That's all I can say too. But we're going to create. We've the nice thing about the non-nation, right, is that our project can accumulate value from what you call horizontal money in the market too, coming
Yep.
from other projects and things like that, right? Because we have a lot of revolutionary technology, things like that. So we are not dependent upon necessarily a bull market in order for the project to absorb value. So pretty cool. So
And,
all right.
and yeah, last thing, scrolling down. You
Yep.
want to still see what where money's going,
Yep.
gas fee wise, on Ethereum? It's going to Uniswap. It's through Uniswap. That's where it is.
Yep. Yep. And interesting. And OpenSea about 1/3 of that. Arbitrum about yeah,
Yeah, I
interesting.
mean,
One
yeah,
fourth of
yeah. We
that.
have there's a couple other ones, but always at the top every time I check this. The number
Yeah.
one where the
Yep.
fees are going are because of Uniswap. So I mean, I
Yep.
guess cheaper gas fees might mean something overall for the chain, but uh, also it seems like people don't really mind transacting at Uniswap, even if the gas fees are your total gas for a swap is a little higher. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious. I can't wait for the Bazaar to show up on this list where
Yeah.
everyone's moving
Absolutely.
coins to the Bazaar and we get to
Absolutely.
show up on this list.
Absolutely.
Keep an
It's
eye
gonna be
out.
it's gonna be very exciting. What's Uni's market cap right now?
Oh goodness. It should be right here. No, they're not quite
Got to
that
be
high.
10 or 11, right?
Where did they go? I must. Okay, let's see. Uniswap, they're number 20. I should have been able to see them. Their market cap 3.3 billion
Okay. I thought they were up at
for
10 or
the
11
Uni
place, so
token.
3.3 billion. Yep. Yep.
Three
And
point
we're
four
we're
on this
down
page.
around,
Okay,
we're down around 3 million for the non-nation.
3.4 million. Yeah. Hmm.
Yep.
Interesting, huh?
Yep. Very interesting. Be exciting to see where that goes. We'll keep an eye on that. All right. Well, I think
We'll keep
that's
an
going
eye
to
on
do
that
it for
disparity.
episode 12. JPN, as always, thank you for bringing the heat and coming so well prepared and giving everybody context to all this these amazing stories over the week. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up. And so, as a reminder, tomorrow we have the non-viral AMA. Wednesday we have the team event, and then Thursday we have the team AMA. So
Drop your questions below.
Yep. Drop your questions below. Jump in the Discord, jump in the Telegram, drop your questions, and stay tuned and keep your eyes out for non-labs and non-viral HQ Twitter accounts to give details on the events. Okay. All right, everyone. Thanks for your time. And thank you as always, JPN. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Have a good one.